Welcome to Nerchinsk! Too worried about getting run over anytime soon. We really are in the middle of nowhere. This is Luke Jones the other way from the central square in Nerchinsk. Near where? Never heard of Nerchinsk? Never mind, you're probably not the only one, but we're going to show you around and tell you all about it. There's a fairly good reason, because it's in the middle of nowhere. Now there's quite a lot of places in Russia that are candidates for middle of nowhere champion, but Nerchinsk could be one of them. For starters, it's way east of Lake Baikal, go past Buryatia, then you hit the regional capital Chita, then it's 6 hours up the Trans-Siberian line, and even then you're not quite there. You have to take a branch line, the one I'm standing on, and unfortunately the trains don't run here anymore. So I'm not too worried about getting run over anytime soon. So what is it that makes Nerchinsk so famous? Well, two reasons, and they're combined. Firstly, this part of the world contains a lot of metals and minerals, and there have been people trying to dig them up for centuries. They've been using free labour and forced labour. It wasn't just the Soviets, this has been going on for centuries. Now, as a result of this eastward expansion, obviously the Chinese weren't too cheery about Russian encroachment onto what they assumed was their territory as the Russians headed east towards the Pacific. And in 1689, a treaty was signed here, essentially ending Russian advancement eastward for almost 2 centuries. The Russians knew that it was all very well maintaining an outpost here, but if they couldn't protect it, it was useless. So this is where they stuck for nearly 200 years. Now, this dude next to me here is a statue of Mikhail Butin. He built this beautiful palace as a place to live in as he was growing the region. And here we have Mikhail.
Добрый день всем.
Mikhail is the former mayor of Nerchinsk, who's going to be showing us around the palace. So in we go.
Это картина в том моменте, когда еще времена Путина, Михаила Дмитриевича, в том уже построенном уже месте, это был, получается, сад, тоже так же, сейчас где находится у нас стадион городской.
I'm not normally a big fan of taking selfies in the mirror, but there's got to be exceptions when these at the time were the largest mirrors in the world to be built. They were made in 1889 in Paris and shipped all the way through China up the Amur River here to Nerchinsk. How they made it in one piece, I've no idea, but they're still here to this day and they look magnificent. Look at that. Mayor Mikhail was telling me earlier that restoration work began here in the year 2000. Unfortunately, the communists trashed nearly everything here, but these guys are doing a great job, and it's going to take a long time for this to be restored to former glory. Luckily, the museum part itself, which you saw, is pretty much intact and well worth the visit, so come along and pay them your respects. Back in the day, this used to be a hotel. Well, back in the day, like nearly 200 years ago. And a very famous guest stayed here in the name of Anton Chekhov. Bet you've heard of him, though. Welcome to Nerchinsk!
советское время как склад использовался.
Mikhail has very kindly driven me out to this male monastery, as they call it. I'd call it just a monastery. And it's in a bit of a state of disrepair at the moment. It was built in 1709 as the first stone monastery in this part of the world, i.e. east of Baikal. And I'm sure it looked great in its day, and it's going to be restored, he promises me, but it might take a while. Anyway, it's still quite impressive, nevertheless, given the fact that we really are in the middle of nowhere, even compared to Nerchinsk standards.
Сейчас самое главное, в первую очередь, сделать консервацию, чтобы дальше не разрушалось здание. Видите, сколько кирпичей и так далее, которые хватает сегодня, которые имеют большую значимость.
Believe it or not, Nerchinsk actually used to have its own airport, but it hasn't been functioning for quite a while. And as it was a military one, most of it wasn't just abandoned, it was packed up and taken away. And this is pretty much all that's left of it. So if you want to come here, it's a train and a taxi, I'm afraid. I think this part of the airport's seen better days. I'm not sure whether this was the business lounge, or judging by all the empty bottles behind me, could even have been the duty-free shop. So here it is, this is the old airport. If you were flying into Nerchinsk, this is where you would have landed. Well, that's the centre of Nerchinsk done for the day. I've walked to the outskirts of town. This is pretty much the last house before you hit the countryside. And I've been told there's a pub nearby. I couldn't find anything in town, so let's see how we fare here. Hopefully a little bit better. Well, that brings Nerchinsk to an end, and I could be cynical and say that I came here so that you don't have to, but there's more than meets the eye, and it's being restored, nicely renovated. It's going to take a while, but get here before it becomes popular, or before even someone spots it on the map. So anyway, Nerchinsk, cheers. It's been a great day. Onwards and upwards. This has been Luke Jones the Other Way. Keep with us.